Welcome to the Creative Content Club podcast with me, Naomi Rose. If you are a business owner who wants to consistently create content that connects and converts into clients, this is the podcast for you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let's get right into it. Hello, and welcome to the Creative Content Club podcast with me, Naomi Rose. I am the person that loves everything to do with creating content, which for most people sounds like their biggest nightmare, but thankfully you don't have to worry because we make it easy as possible for you. Now, today I am going to be talking about something that I get asked about a lot, and it's how to use your personal stories to sell without oversharing, without feeling like you're sharing too much. Before I get into the nitty-gritty of today's episode, I'm just going to take a moment to tell you about my one-to-one content intensive package, which is a 6-week package that you can take up today for just $997. The reason I'm telling you about this today is because the prices do go up on Friday, the 17th of October, and that's 2025 if you're listening to this in 26. This package is for you if you really struggle to get content that connects with your ideal clients. You find that your content isn't making you the sales you want. Your emails, your posts, your website, it feels overwhelming. And regardless of how hard you try, no one seems to see it and you feel completely invisible. That's what this package is designed for. It's an intensive way of working. It's all done online. But this is designed to get you a content plan that works for both you and your ideal clients, that gets you visibility in the absolute right places for them, with the right content for them, not for you, for them. So we're really focusing on that you can use on repeat. So you're not having to think of loads of different content ideas and having social media nag at you all the time. And this plan will be tailored to you and your business and what you need to focus on to get the biggest visibility. And my one-to-one clients have had such good results from this intensive package that I honestly cannot recommend it enough. And at the moment, it's at just $997. It's going to be up to $1997 on Saturday, the 18th of October. So if you are interested, and I don't have huge amounts of capacity for these, please do get in contact as soon as possible, or know of someone who might be interested, because this is a really intensive way to get content sorted. Imagine having all of that organised before the end of the year. That would be just amazing, wouldn't it? To think that you're going into 2026 knowing exactly what you should be doing, so we're not spending 3 months thinking about it. That's what that package is designed for, and you'll make so much more return on investment than the cost of it. It is such good value for money, if I do say so myself. And you'll get a content audit too. I'll audit your content. I'll help you with your plan. I'll help you identify who your clients really are, how you can find them, what is going to connect you. I'll do so much work on this with you. We get really deep and really intensive in these sessions. So if that's something of interest, get in touch. Now, I'm going to stop waffling about my one-to-one offers, and I am going to talk to you about how to use your personal stories to sell without the overshare. This is something I get asked about a lot. There are a couple of things that come up for my clients, potential clients, when it comes to knowing what the right things are to share, is how much is too much, how much is too little. So how little is too little. There is also this element of worrying that everyone will know your business. You'll be judged, particularly by friends, family, people closest to you, your nearest and dearest. You don't feel comfortable sharing those kind of things because they're not something you would say to your family, but you would talk about in your business. There's this underlying fear of the cancel culture, the trolling if you share your opinions. I don't like the word cancel culture. I'm not going to go off on one on that because it really, really bugs me. It grates. It's one of those words that I really dislike. And there's also the biggest one that comes up, the biggest theme that comes up for my ideal clients is that they won't be professional by telling these stories. They'll feel like they have lost their authority by telling personal stories, that they won't feel professional enough by sharing some of the reality of their world. That's the worry, that they'll be seen as not the expert anymore, and they will be letting their business down by letting people in. So I'm going to give you some tips on how you can tell people the right stories that feel right for you without feeling like you're oversharing, being judged, getting the cringe factor, although total spoiler alert, some posts will make you cringe. You have to get over that. I'm sorry, there is no other way to do it other than practice. Okay, the first point is around what I talk about quite a bit on this podcast, but you don't have to share massive personal achievements, things that have been really tough, life-changing moments all the time. It's not about always sharing the milestones. Sometimes it's about sharing moments, everyday moments, because everybody relates to everyday moments. The things that happen, like I was doing a concert on Sunday. I had stupidly decided to get dressed into my concert clothes in the morning, and not only did I spill my breakfast from my fruit and fibre, the milk went straight down my black dress. I also proceeded to be given a coffee without the lid put on properly from the coffee shop. That also went down the dress. So thank God I play the cello and no one can see that from stage, right? That's all I'm going to say. But that's real life. They're the moments that people can relate to. Yep, been there. I've done it so many times where I spill. Anyway, that's a podcast for another time. It's why I say talk about the weather, right? Weather is something everyone can get behind. They can all have an opinion on the weather without feeling like they're putting themselves out there. They're saying something that's uncomfortable or facing up to the truth that they want to face up to. They don't feel that there is a barrier to comment on the weather because they can just get behind it. So sometimes it's about sharing those small moments because you can connect. You start opening a conversation, that trust begins to build. Content is about finding the common ground that is really relevant to your ideal client. This is where the second point comes in to today's podcast, and that's make your stories about them. Do not put anything out on anything to do with my content, whether that's email, web, blog, social, LinkedIn, TikTok, all of the places, in presentations, talks, speaking events, any of that. None of my stories are ever about me. I talk about me, but they're not about me. All right, you think I've probably lost the plot now. I haven't, I promise you. Your stories are about your ideal clients. Whatever you're sharing, it goes out with purpose. You post with purpose. I share the stories that I know my ideal clients can relate to. I know my ideal clients might be feeling. I know my ideal clients can understand, because when you do that, your ideal clients go, oh my gosh, you get me. They don't read your content thinking about you. They read your content thinking about them. We all do it. Watch your own behaviors. The stuff that connects with you when you're reading your emails, opening that website, searching on Google, are the things that are about you, not about the person that wrote them. They're relevant to you. They're about you. It's how we work. It's just how we think things through. So I talk about the fact that I'm dyslexic and I've recently been diagnosed with ADHD, all of those things. I know people will understand that. I am deeply uncomfortable about talking about it. And yes, I do stuff that takes me outside my comfort zone. And I put a post out saying how frustrated I was about being dyslexic the other day. It was driving me nuts because I wanted to get stuff right. I'm a perfectionist. A lot of my ideal clients can relate because even if they aren't dyslexic, they're perfectionists. They want to be polished. They want to get everything right. They don't want to let people down. I know they get frustrated when they make the mistakes. They get tired. They want to do better because I feel like that. So that story was talking about my experience, but it was an experience that my ideal clients felt. So when you're thinking about what should I tell people without oversharing, think about the stories that people will want to tell you their version of that same story. What will open up the conversation? We are giving people a little glimmer into your world, so they give us a lot more information about them. And not in a stalkery way, I don't mean it like that. What I mean is when people start to open up to you and they feel like they trust you, they're more likely to end up becoming your ideal clients and people that will actually buy and be loyal to you. The third thing I want to mention today is know your boundaries, but versus getting uncomfortable. There are two sides to this. I always say you get to choose which stories you tell. You don't have to share every little private detail of your life. Some people do choose to do that. You don't have to. You get to decide up front what's off limits, whether it's health, relationships, whatever you aren't willing to talk about openly in a public forum. What is it, those things that you don't want to say? You get to choose that. No one else. You do. There is a big difference between having those boundaries in place so that you keep the bits that you want to keep private and putting boundaries around the stuff that you're scared to share. You know you've got stuff that you probably could share that people will relate to, but it's outside that comfort zone. It's in that area, that grey area of feeling judged, not sure how it'll be received. You want to share it, but your fears are taking over. So there is boundaries, and then there is just being uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is good. We like being uncomfortable. Yes, it can be a scary place, but sometimes we have to do things that are uncomfortable to be able to see what we can do. It's actually very empowering. So if you've got something you want to share that you feel that actually it feels a bit uncomfortable, start small, build up to it. That's how I've done it. I haven't just gone out and shared all about like how the fact I'm dyslexic. I've talked about this on this podcast before. I'm very uncomfortable about talking about dyslexia. I'm very uncomfortable about using it as I feel sometimes an excuse, which I really hate. That's why I've never talked about it to previous employers. It's why I don't talk about it like a lot openly, but I've brought it out because I know it's relevant to my ideal clients. That's uncomfortable. That's me being afraid to share because I'm feared of being judged, that I'm not good enough at being a content marketing strategist, that people will see all my mistakes, which there are many, rather than see the other work I do. But there are things where I want to protect my privacy, where I don't want to be sharing stuff, that there are things that I don't want to put online in an online space. And that's okay. I have those, but that's a very big difference. So sometimes you're holding back because of that fear of what people might think. Sometimes you're holding back that you're worried that you'll sound less professional. And again, you get to choose which stories you tell, but people relate to that personability. People relate to knowing you get them. If, for instance, you are someone who helps people with weight loss, but you've had a week of just eating all the wrong things because that's what your body's been craving, that's not a sign of failure. That's real life. People will relate to that story. You sharing that will be relatable because they go, oh my gosh, they don't go, gosh, she's rubbish. She can't control it. She's just eating anything. That's not what they're going to say. They're going to go, oh my gosh, you get me. You understand this. Someone who actually knows what I'm doing right now. They're not thinking how bad you are. They're thinking, you know what I'm doing. You've got this. You understand. You're not one of these people that's going to stand up and make me feel bad because I've not lost a pound this week. Because you're doing the things that I'm currently doing and you get it. But you have the answers because I've seen you successful. That's the difference. So be really clear on those boundaries, but don't put the boundaries up because you're uncomfortable. It's all about your ideal clients, what's going to help them open up to you so you can build that connection quicker. The other thing that is really important is keeping your core message, why you do what you do and how you help people, at the center of what you do. Every piece of content needs a purpose. I always say this. Even when I'm talking about everyday stuff, like that is absolutely nothing to do with content marketing. And you might think, I don't get how that connects. It's about my clients. It's always about them. Like I talked about the air fryer. I'm going on about the air fryer again. I've still not quite worked it out. I'm getting there slowly. But again, I know my ideal clients can relate to these things. I know they can. It's about building that connection. It's about building a mutual ground that starts a conversation. So every story needs a point. Every story that you tell, every piece of content that you put out there needs a purpose, a step. If it isn't clear or it doesn't show why you're doing it, or it's not relevant to the ideal client, or shows your belief system, your values, you're just costing your business time and money. That is the bottom line. Here's 3 things to think about when you want to share a story. What do you want people to feel or think after reading this? Does it link to what you offer or what you believe in? Does it have a clear purpose and a call to action? If they're all yes, then you're good to go. I'm going to go back to the air fryer again. Sorry, folks. If you don't like air fryers, then just ignore this. I'm still not on the 100% in the air fryer fan category yet. Why did I talk about the air fryer when it has absolutely nothing to do with my business? I know my audience want convenience. They want things quickly. They want things easily. They want to eat well. I know that's something that they do. That's something that they believe in. I'm behind the times on this. I'm a simple person. They like simplicity as well. But this is a gadget. And I really wanted to see what their beliefs, what their kind of everyday life is, because that understands what they might be looking for from someone like me. That understands their buying behaviours. What is it that they're looking for in terms of solutions to whatever problem it is? And yes, they want things that are quicker, easier, healthier, better for them. All of those things, which is so relevant to content, because people want their content easier, quicker, less time, less faff, simpler, less washing up, all of that kind of stuff. That's exactly what they want in content. So it shows a behaviour, it shows an action, it shows a belief system. It helps me understand more about people that I work with or could work with. And my final point today is share your truth with purpose. Now, you can share those deep things. There is nothing that if you are comfortable to feel like you're exposing yourself, sharing stuff that's a trauma you've been through, or sharing things that just push you along those comfort zones a little bit more. It's maybe emotional. I sometimes talk about the fact that I had a horrible bicycle accident 6 weeks after I've opened the cafe. Like, they are things that was quite a bad experience for me, and that felt really quite difficult to tell at the time. And I've told it pretty much every year, because it's not about getting that sympathy or shock value of what I had to go through. It's about showing the journey, the learnings, how it shaped you, what you did, how you overcome it, the inspiration behind it. And it's powerful. That kind of thing is so unbelievably powerful, because that is about purpose rather than performance. It's about authenticity. It's real life. People love to see the high life. They love to see the glamour. They like to see the professionalism. I absolutely get that. But they connect so much deeper and quicker when they can be empathetic, when they feel like they can really see how people are feeling. They can feel that bond that they can grow through that content by sharing those moments. It's not about telling your life story to make the sales, or sharing every innermost personal thought. Like, check out my post from World Mental Health Day on Friday. That's exactly the kind of story that resonates with people. Yeah, I hate talking about the fact that I had to close my cafe. I do not talk about the fact that I went through burnout during that. I don't talk about that at all. And I had to shut the cafe for a month because of it. I don't like talking about that because it makes me feel weak. In all honesty, that's how I feel. But I know my ideal clients go through this, and I don't think they're weak, not in the slightest. But I'm empathetic and I can sympathise with what they're feeling because I've been there. That's why I tell that story. To wrap up, you don't need to overshare everything. You get to choose the stories you want to post. All right, lovely people, I'll speak to you next time. Thank you for listening to the Creative Content Club podcast with me, Naomi Rose. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this podcast a review. If this episode gave you clarity or sparked a new idea, I'd really appreciate it if you could share it with someone else who would find it useful. If you haven't already, give me a follow on Instagram and come and connect with me on LinkedIn. And finally, don't forget to check out the show notes to take my quiz to find out exactly why your content isn't converting into clients. Thanks again for listening, and I'll be back again next week with another episode.